Hey there, how's it going? This is Seth from REtipster.com. In this video, I want to talk to you about how to resolve an issue that comes up with pretty much any real estate deal that you're trying to close in-house without a title company. Now, to start with, I never really do this unless I'm buying a piece of vacant land that is really, really, really cheap. Like we're talking a few $100s. And the full market value of the property is no more than like $5,000. And the reason that I try to do these kind of title searches myself rather than using a title company or an attorney is because the cost of the property is just so stinking low that it doesn't make a whole lot of economic sense for me to pay like 2 or 3 times more to close the property than what I'm paying for the property in the first place. So in those situations when I'm trying to close the deal myself, something that is just crucially important to do before you actually get the deed signed and take ownership of the property is to do a title search. And this is where you get what's called an abstract of title, which is basically a list of all the documentation, all the historical recorded deeds and other related documents that goes back about 40 years. And when you have these documents, you can then look through them to make sure that there is what's called a clear chain of title, to verify that all the historical deeds have been transferred appropriately. There's no gaps in the chain of title. There's no outstanding mortgages or liens on the property, all that stuff. However, in order to do this, you have to know how to get these documents. And that's what I want to show you how to do in this video. So as you can see here on the screen, this is what that abstract of title looks like when you finally get it. Whenever I order these things, they usually come to me in the form of a PDF, and it just shows me all of the historical deeds, and it looks kind of confusing, especially if you've never done this before. And I actually have a separate video that explains how to look through these documents and make sense of them. So in case you want to check that out, I will have a link to that video in the description of this one on YouTube, in case you want to learn more of the basics of how that works. But with that being said, if you're trying to figure out how to get these documents and get the full report showing what the chain of title is, there's a few different ways to do this. Now, when I first got started in this business, the way that I would do it is I would call up a local title company and just say, hey, I'm looking for a title search on this property. So not a title commitment, not a title insurance policy. I don't want you to close the deal for me. I just want the title search. And usually when I would order that, it would cost like a minimum of $150 depending on which title company I was working with. And sometimes I even saw prices that went up to like $350 or even $600. I think was the most expensive one I'd ever seen, which is crazy, by the way. That's way too much to pay for a title search. What I eventually figured out was that the reason title companies were charging me so much for these title searches is because they were just outsourcing the work to an abstractor. And an abstractor is basically a professional title searcher. And what they do is they go directly to the county and they pull all these documents from the county system related to the property that you're looking at, and they will compile them and then give them to the title company, who then gives them to me. And once I figured this out, I realized I can actually cut out the middleman and just go directly to this abstractor, and it will cost a lot less, like usually somewhere in the range of $50 to $100 when I get it directly from them. In most cases, it's fairly easy to find abstractors in whatever county you're working in, and I'll just show you an example right here. If you go to a search engine like Google and just type in the county name, state name, and then words like title search abstractor or something to that effect, you can usually find at least a few options right off the bat. So we'll try this out in Kern County, California, and title search abstractor, and just see what comes up. And right off the bat, we can see these results right here. I'll just open up these and see what it gives me. So what I would do at this point is I would just check out these websites and see in what counties they provide these kind of abstractor or title search services. And I could always just contact them very easily and just say, hey, I've got this property in this county. How much would it cost you to give me an abstract of title on this property, and how long would it take for you to get me those documents? And I could do the same thing here, and just get an idea for who can provide what at what price. And by the way, I realize if you're working in a super rural county that's way out in the middle of nowhere, sometimes when you do this kind of search, you may not find these big obvious service providers who can do this kind of thing for you. So if you're in that situation, another thing you can do is simply search for the county recorder or the county register of deeds. Some states use different terminology for that, but they basically do the exact same thing. So we'll search for the recorder here, and I could click on that and then go down here to contact us and give them a call and basically just say to them, I'm looking for a local abstractor who can help me pull all of the relevant title documents for a property in Kern County or whatever county you're working in. Because the thing is, a lot of times these counties are very familiar with who the abstractors are in the area because those abstractors are in the system and regularly pulling these kind of reports. And the assessor or recorder or register of deeds, they're just familiar with them and they know who they are. So sometimes you can say, hey, can you just connect me with one of those local abstractors? And it's pretty easy to get that contact information and then reach out to those abstractors directly. So that's another way you can do it. Some other options that are out there are services like this, Pro Title USA. And what they will do is they actually have a few different packages you can order from them where they will get into the county records and pull up a full list of who all the historical property owners are and just show you in a pretty clear-cut layout what the chain of title looks like. And I'm actually not sure if they even give you the title documents themselves or if they just give you this kind of report. It might depend on which kind of package you order from them. Looks like if I click on this one here, this is usually what I would be getting if I was working directly with an abstractor. And it looks like they give you this summary sheet and then all of the documents. So it looks like this would be pretty much everything I would ever want out of a title search. And maybe I'm just missing it, but I don't see any place on this website that lays out the pricing. But at one point in the past year or two, I was on this website and I think it was like a couple $100 for this kind of report. And that was one of the reasons why I haven't historically used these guys that much. Even though it's one of the easiest like turnkey ways to get this kind of information, that cost of a couple $100 is like just more than what I want to pay for this kind of thing. I can't really tell you what your threshold should be in terms of how much you should or shouldn't pay, but I know that was one of the things that came onto my radar in terms of whether or not I would use them. And then something else I'll mention is that I know there's actually people on Fiverr who will offer these kind of title searching services nationwide, so that may be worth checking out as well. Let's just do a quick Fiverr title search and see what comes up. And it looks like right off the bat, there is this guy, Scott Shores, who I've heard of as well and never used myself. And depending on when you're watching this video, he may or may not still be offering these services on Fiverr. But all this to say, you could always try searching for title search services on a freelancing website like Fiverr, and you might be able to find somebody like this who can help you. And to be clear, this is not a recommendation or endorsement for this guy in particular. I'm just showing you that on Fiverr, you can find people like this who can offer this kind of help. So that may be worth checking out too. If we go up here and search for title search, and we'll see if we can find anybody else. Yep, so it looks like there's other people who do this as well. And it's kind of hard to gauge like the quality or reliability of this kind of work because it's a fairly dynamic thing with lots of moving pieces. It's also one of those things where like, if one of these people makes a mistake, that may or may not come back to bite you in the future. And they're also not offering you any kind of guarantee of a clear title like a title company or title insurance policy would. So that's something else to keep in mind. While these kinds of contractors certainly are a lot cheaper and will probably make the process faster and easier for you, it's not necessarily a fair apples to apples comparison with what you would get from some other options out there. So it's just something to keep in mind. But in any event, I hope you can see here that with just a little bit of creativity and searching, there's a lot of ways that you can find help with this kind of thing. So if you're trying to do your own title search, but you're not sure of the best way to get these documents in your hands so you can start reviewing them, those are just a few ideas of how you can scour the web for assistance in this area. Hope that's helpful, and I wish you all the best as you're closing your deal. Talk to you next time.